Welcome back. It's Mark from financialfreedomodyssey.com here with another video. Today we're going to reflect on my portfolio and look at the updates for the month of November 2025. And this marks the 15th month in a row that I have made these update videos. Let's dive right in. As December is upon us today, I'm wondering if Santa will come this year with a good old Santa Claus rally. November was relatively flat overall. We had a small pullback in the middle of the month, and we rallied for this last week. Many financial experts, I have it in quotations because usually I indirectly watch, the so-called financial experts through other YouTubers. But yeah, they've mentioned it's going to come down to what the Fed does next week. So they have their FOMC meeting, last one for the year, Tuesday and Wednesday next week. And the other big driver has been Bitcoin. So Bitcoin often leads the stock market, especially tech. And over this weekend, it has seen another pullback. So we will have to wait and see here in an hour and a half what happens at market open. Taking a look at my indices, my RSP versus the major indices. The indices across the board were pretty flat, aside from the old TSX. So, this has been the story of 2025. The TSX has just been utterly dominating the S&P 500. To be fair, for the first time in a long time, but it's still great to see. And then I have to shout out SCHD. So I've been kind of whining about SCHD over, the last 6 months or so for underperforming the Dow Jones. I think there's 1 month in there where it tied it, but it is way ahead of it this month at 4.23% for SCHD and only 0.8% for Dow Jones. Looking at the rest of them, S&P 500 basically flat, NASDAQ down 2%. And we also had the TSX 60 up 3% as mentioned earlier. Looking at my holdings, sorry, I just paused there. I see that I have October 1st and October 31st. I did change these. I just forgot to update the labels, but I will for the website post. And yeah, so VDY doing even better than TSX 60. Banks have been killing it, especially TD. XAW down 0.5%. SCHD smashing it like we said earlier, and VTI relatively flat. So all in all, not too bad of a month. It's kind of good, I guess, to see a little bit of pullback because it's been, up and to the right for 5 months in a row, which is just unsustainable. Let's take a look at the moves that I made this month. And there were a few. So as mentioned, there was a dip in the middle of the month, and I decided to try to capitalize on that a little bit. I didn't go that heavy into it, but I decided to increase the AMD position. One thing I did do, and I'm going to talk about this time, as you may see on the screen here, is I made a few moves in my partner's TFSA, and we listed them there. So we bought some ZSP and ZNQ, as well as a bit of VDY. Honestly, bought them in just equal proportions to start, and simple reason was it's kind of tough to say what's going to happen right in the future, so we just decided 1/3 in each is the easiest. The other thing we did in terms of moves is we decided to exit her two covered call positions, being I guess one covered call, HYLD, and then the split share fund of EIT.UN, or the Canoe Income Fund. And those ones, we put HYLD into ZSP, and then the EIT.UN, we put that into VDY. So essentially staying in the same relative sectors. But now our portfolio is much more streamlined. I've been thinking about doing it in mine, but I have some larger kind of positions, so may still do it, but decided to go ahead with hers first. Taking a look at my TFSA, I bought HXQ, with dividends, and AMD with some dividends, and VFV with my normal contribution. Kind of sound like a broken record. I think I've done the same move for the past 4 months now, but it's been working out pretty well. In terms of moves in my portfolio, I sold a little bit of pref and bought into the dip of AMD as mentioned earlier. Taking a look at my TFSA breakdown. Let's see here. Yeah, so the VFV has finally eclipsed that 20%. The next biggest holding I have is VDY, with bank slightly behind that. And XEI comes up next. So looking pretty good there. Taking a look at my single stock positions, I have AMD at the top there, 5.3%. So nice to see a good little rally into the end of the month to help prop that up. Google at 4.4%. And then Shopify at 5.7%. It's funny just because I've held that one for so much longer. My initial investment is smaller into Shopify than it is into either AMD or Google, especially AMD. It's actually like half-ish of the contribution that I put into AMD. Good old time in the market, as they say. Now that's all for the TFSA. Moving into the RRSP. I went back to the spousal RRSP this month and stuck with some VFV in there. And I mentioned this earlier, but yeah, it's definitely feeling like all I've done is buy VFV or sometimes VDY. In my personal RRSP, I have turned on drip. The reason being is I'm going to focus on the spousal RRSP for the next few months and just want any dividends to roll over. And looking into my RRSP, I have VTI just under the 50% and VDY and XAW about 17%, and then SCHD is the lowest at 15%. So taking a look at the spousal RRSP, we have 40% VFV, 33.3% bank, and 27% QQCL. So as I've mentioned before, pretty straightforward, nothing crazy there. In terms of dividend increases and decreases, last month had a lot of changes actually. This month, pretty quiet. The only thing of note is PSA and cash, and I'm assuming every other HISA ETF, continues to pay out less and less each month. And as much as I would like to switch those to something else, I continue to tell myself hold, because that is emergency fund money, not investing money. Although I do have pref, which I will sell out at the first good size dip to put into risk assets. Taking a look at the fear and greed index, we are sitting at the border of extreme fear and fear. Earlier this month, we were deep into extreme fear, getting into the single digits, I believe, for a couple of days. And let's see, has it changed this morning? Down 1. And taking a look at the AAII Investor Sentiment Survey, we are looking... I guess last week we were looking at 32% bullish, 25 neutral, and 42.7% bearish. And yeah, take a snapshot at the first of the month and the end of the month and ignore everything in between, and you would say, hey, pretty flat month. But yeah, it was not flat all the way. There's some ups and downs, and that's the way it goes. So nothing crazy in terms of investment strategy. I'm just going to continue buying, always be buying, and see where that takes us. Thanks for stopping by. Cheers.